Hi guys, Artiar here. So for this tier list is mainly targeting for those new player or returner player who want to start a fresh account. They have no idea what kind of Esper that is really good at RESO 0, which means they are very good at least one copy. Like dupes doesn't matter or doesn't matter too much on this Esper, and this Esper is going to be useful for your gameplay from early game until mid game, not until end game. Okay, end game is a different thing because it really requires certain dupes for the effect. But this tier list here will be breaking down for R0 Espers, so who will be better for your early game to mid game content for PvE and also PvP, both content. Because I'm not gonna separate this video into two video because they are R0, they are not their full potential or their useful state, right? So this video here will cover both sides. So if I'm gonna put them in meta defining here, means they're gonna be useful in both PvE and PvP content and at R0. Then top picks is the second tier, which is not until meta, but maybe in specific content is very strong. Then useful, niche, rarely used, and don't bother. So if I rate them and don't bother doesn't mean that they are useless, just that maybe they are useless when they are at R0, because specific Esper needs to work when they are going to R0, go until R2 or maybe R6, then they are only their strong state, or else at R0 they are not really that strong. Okay, so this tier list here is more targeting for those new player and returner player who are looking for a R0 tier list, because I saw some comments that is asking about R0 tier list, because most of my tier lists that I made are R2 or R6, right? Then for those endgame player who is looking for a updated R2 or R6 tier list, I'll maybe make them at the next patch. Alright, so Sakura is the first one that meta defining, as my previous video mentioned. Sakura is a very strong, can be covered buffer, supporter, and also healer role. Definitely able to carry you for your early game until mid game PvE and PvP content. Then Momo here, if you have Momo R0, I would say that Momo is gonna be at a useful tier. Why am I not putting Momo at top tier or meta tier is because if we have to consider early game to mid game, both PvE and PvP, right? Momo's requirement isn't that high because Momo deals true damage, and most story stages content or PvE content don't require true damage Esper. So she will be more priority for PvP content, but in early game to mid game PvP content, I don't think Momo's usage is that high. Then for Lien R0, I would say is at top pick. Is lower tier than Sakura because Lien is a shield Esper, have some heals and also provides a specific buff. But in terms of the buff that provided, so let's say Lien provides shield and defense up, Sakura provides you attack up and defense up. So if in terms of usage, I would consider Sakura's better than Lien in terms of R0 usage. But in, let's say, Andra's content when you reach until mid game, then Lien's value is higher than Sakura. But overall, I would still say Sakura is better than Lien. Then for Lien here, I would say is at the top pick, or kind of like meta defining as well at R0. Maybe at meta defining, because Lien at R0 she can provide you unique buffer. He can be a unique buffer. He can be a sub DPS and a multi hit as well, and he can also kill your Esper and also assist your DPS. So it's a very good choice for you to pick when it's at early game until mid game as well. Even until end game, Lien is also one of the meta Esper, even at low 0 until high reso. Then for Sally here, I would say is the same tier as Lien. Their usage is kind of the same, just that they provide different buff. One is a shield Esper, one is a healer Esper, and also provide damage taken. But basically Sakura can do better than both of them. Then for Jinju here, because we're talking at R0, right? When Jinju is R0, I would say is useful, just like Momo's value. They are both true damage Esper, but in early to mid game, I don't really see a usage for them when they are at R0. Then for Donner here, when you are at R0, I would say it's rarely used, because at the beginning of the game, you don't really need Donner for most of the content. Even in PvP, right, R0 Donner can't really help you too much, so I would say it's rarely used. Then for Feng Shun here, I would say it's meta defining, like I mentioned at my previous video. Even though without the AP push and all the buff provided from R2 effect, just at R0 is also providing a very good buff, a very good assist, and also very good healing. It's kind of same like Lien, just that I prefer Feng Shun assist attack or pursuit attack more consistent compared to Lien. Okay, Sujie is a special case. For newbie and returner, you'll notice that if you don't have Sujie, right? So you'll notice that Sujie is not able to get through gold record pool. But because she's an event limited esper, she will come back time to time, depends on when the game decided her to rerun her event. But when she rerun, she is one of the best esper even at R0 until R6. So you can't get Sujie now, but you can wait until when Sujie rerun, then you definitely want to get her even at R0. But if she's an event limited esper. Then for Lucas, even at R0, right, I would say it's rarely used, even though he's a good AP absorber, but most of the case I would say is rarely used. Then for Artiar, I would say it's top pick. Like Artiar can be one of your main DPS that is HP scaling. He himself has some healing, like infinity self healing from his passive. So it's kind of undead to him. Like he can actually solo the whole story mode content, but not able to give you 3-star. Like he can't die, but doesn't mean that his teammate can't die, right? So he can be some cheat code for you to cheese through specific comp that doesn't matters that your teammate die or not. Like let's say in tower content, if enemy doesn't have a disease or not able to one-shot your Artiar can actually help you cover the tower content, because the tower content doesn't require you to get 3-star like the story stages, right? So you can actually just use one copy of Artiar and you can cheese through the whole spatial tower, probably as long as they don't kill your Artiar in one shot. Then for Genie at R0, I would say is don't bother, because Genie have to be good when she is R2 above, but even R2 above now, we have a lot of better replacement to replace Genie in most cases, so I would say don't bother. Then Trickies here, I would say is niche, cause you are at early to mid game, the most situation you use Tricky is only a tower content. Then for Tricky's dispel and also his passive to do some max HP reduction or some dispelling thing, but it's pretty niche overall for the content. Then for Clara wise, R0 I would say is at top pick, because Clara is an AP pusher and also a healer as well, and also a dispeller and also immunity provider. It's one of the few esper that can cover your AP push and also cover your healing role as well. Then for Abigail here, I would say is good, just that it's pretty niche. It's because if you really want to use Abigail, you have to max level her skill level to S3 to max. So it requires a lot of ability mod and only can max level, AP push 1 esper. So I would say it's niche because it requires too many investment, and then although CD resetting is more requires to her RESO. So I would say it's at niche, it's not really a good pick when you are at early game until mid game. Same for Nora, I would say is pretty where should I put? I would say Nora would be put a niche, because if you want to grind Andras when you're at mid game, Nora probably will be one of your best pick to fight Andras, but only for that. Like is Nora lower than Jinchu and Momo? Okay, maybe higher tier. Useful. Okay, then Sienna here I'll put at top pick, because after her buff changes, she have a speed leader. She can AoE AP down and also stun them. It's a very good pick for your tower content and story stages content. So it's a very solid pick, and even in PvP content as well, you can use Sienna as your speed leader and AP controller. Hayley here I would say is at your early to mid game is also a top pick. Why am I not putting Hayley at meta defining? Because at early to mid game, most probably you don't even have a very good equipment set yet. So and Hayley's main point is about sharing equipment set. So if you can't really have a good set, it doesn't really matter too much of sharing equipment set in my opinion, but she is still remain at the top pick just because of her equipment sharing and all those debuffs she provide. Gabriel here as well I would say is at useful tier. Okay, wait, let me think. If I have to put Gabriel at useful tier, maybe I'll put Momo, Jinchu, Nora at useful. Yeah, I think here is more reasonable. Okay, then Gabriel here I'll put at useful tier because Gabriel provides immunity buff and also provides AoE defense break. Is still one of the best esper when it's R0. Then Chuyao here I would say is either top picks on meta defining, but maybe I'll push him until meta defining, because AoE debuff and then protect your DPS and also provide free assist for DPS. Not really that good at early game, but very good. The later the game you go, the better he is. But at early game, not really that strong. Like early game, the debuff doesn't really matter too much because you're gonna one-shot them anyway. But the higher stages you go, the stronger the enemy, the better value Chu Yao is. So I'll assume you also can go until mid-game, so Chu Yao is one of the meta-defining Esper. Then Ethan here I would say is don't bother, because Ethan you really want to go until R2 to have Ethan's value. Mavis is a cheat code for every single game mode as long as you are able to use Mavis, because you can cheat it for your Esper, so I'll put at meta-defining. Then Farah here I'll put at useful because she have freeze, she can be a DPS, she can also be AoE Dispeller as well, so I'll put her as useful. Fumisuki here at R0, I'll put her at niche. It's pretty good for tower contents, like playing ping pong with them to stun them. But other than that, I would say it's a pretty niche usage until you reach until end game, then she's pretty useful. Fatima, I would say don't bother at R0, not really good at all. Then Yuhime here, I would say either top picks or meta-defining, right? But I would say Shield App meta-defining because of her. She can be a DPS. She can be speed leader as well. She can AoE AP down and also apply hamshock. So I would say Yuhime is also can be listed as a meta-defining Esper. Then for Yamato wise, when you are at R0, I would say Yamato is pretty ready use at R0 unless you reach Yamato until R2, then she start to provide different stats attribute boosts, then he will be useful. But at R0 I would say it's ready use. Ahmed here I would say is pretty niche only when you're fighting content like height. When there's height, right, and then you want to recover your max HP reduction, then Ahmed will be useful. Then Fushi here I would say is Fushi Astro is pretty pain, but at R0 I would say it's ready use. Like yeah, you can one-shot Esper, but other than that, when you're at low reso, it's not really that good. Then Slon at R0 don't bother, not because Slon is weak, it's just because when Slon at R0 she will AoE freeze your team, so you don't want to use that. And she was also an event Esper like Suje, so but at R0 Slon is not really that good. But the higher the reso Slon is, the better Slon is. So when Slon go until R2, then Slon will instantly go until meta-defining. But for now, at R0 tier list, this is don't bother. Brewster here I would say is one of your top pick Esper because when you're fighting APAP, Brewster is pretty strong. But since we're talking about R0, so we'll put Brewster at useful. Have AP down, have crit rate up, and defend break, and also single target very strong. It's a very strong Esper for APAP. Phantom Sister at R0 I would say is ready use. At R0, then Ollie here I would say is useful. Yeah, so for example, if you are pairing in story mode, right, you can put Ollie and Mavis as one team. So your Mavis will prevent all your teammates to die. Then when they want to kill your Mavis, your Ollie will prevent Mavis to die and also apply invincibility for Mavis. So it's a pretty good combo and also a very strong Esper for Chronos. So I would say Ollie is a pretty useful Esper. Then for TA here, I would say it's a top pick as well, or maybe meta-defining. Somewhere here, maybe I'll put it at meta-defining because her AP swap, her AP push, her AP down, and also speed leader is still one of the strongest AP changing Esper in the game. Embla here at R0 I would say is ready use. Then Archibald at Archibald I would say is pretty niche or somewhere useful. It's a very good combination with Mavis, and Archibald's debuff is also a very strong debuff against tower content and also against story mode content. It's a pretty useful Esper, but it requires Mavis. So if you don't have Mavis, Archibald is not going to be useful. If you have Mavis, then Archibald is going to be useful. Then Elif at R0 I would say don't bother. Elliot R0 don't bother. Javid I would say is niche. It's a pretty strong passive debuff that spreads the splash damage. It's a very good Esper in tower content if you don't really have a DPS. Hilda is meta-defining, have control, have poison damage, and also defend break. Just like what I mentioned in the previous video, Hilda is very strong. Just that it's not one of my top 5 Esper pick. Like my top 5 Esper is already here, right? These 2 and then 3 and 4, and only left one more that is in my meta list, which is gonna be okay. Never mind. Since I'm gonna mention Lushang is gonna be here. Meta defining because R0 already provide all the buff that you need and also very strong PvE and PvP as well. Then for Tangshan here, I would say early to mid game, Tangshan is still one of your strong niche Esper you're gonna use since it's your newbie Esper. Same goes for Liling. They are both niche Esper, depends on your usage. Then for Yuran at R1, R0 here, I would say Yuran is rarely used because of Yuran's sleep is not really that consistent. The assist is pretty good, but most of the time I would say Yuran is rarely used for early game. This is early game to mid game. Then Ophelia here, after the changes, I would say Ophelia is pretty niche after the changes. Like, it's strong, just that she's better at end game. Then for Changji, I would say don't bother. Leora, I would say is one of the top pick because of the AoE, DPS, and also the CD reset for every wave. Leora is definitely one of the top pick DPS at early to mid game. But when you go until end game, she will drop her value. But if you have high RESO and high Divine on her, she's still one of your best speedrun Esper for Chronos. Then height here, I would say don't bother. Biotina, don't bother. Camille, don't bother. Jinyu Yao, rarely used. She's really good for her passive dispel and healing, but it's rarely used for most of the content. Or maybe niche because of the tower content, right? But this is more about, that is more about Infinity Tower. So yeah, rarely used. Gaius after the changes now, I would say for early to mid game, I would say it's pretty niche. Yeah, I would say it's niche because you need the skill up, right? Yeah, I'll put Gaius and niche round. Gaius kind of fell off in my opinion. Then Ashley, I would say don't bother. Zora, don't bother. Then who else? Osana, don't bother at R0. Intesa, don't bother R0. Mateo is one of the best DPS even at R0. Nama, don't bother. Luis, don't bother. Yun Chuan at R0, don't bother unless you go on. Oh wait, Fafnir might still be useful for Yun Chuan, right? So I might push Yun Chuan for niche. Elaine R0, I would say is niche. Valeria, niche. Already used at the early to mid game. Ife here R0, I would say is already used. Then Yujing here at R0. If you have Lu Shang, then she's gonna be good. If you don't have Lu Shang, then she's not gonna be very good. So I will put her at niche. Meta Liling at R0, I would say is Meta Liling. It really depends though. Meta Liling depends on what kind of Esper you have. Like if you have Lu Shang, Yujing, and Meta Liling, then they're gonna be good. If you don't have them, then Meta Liling is not gonna be good. So I would say is, let me think. I don't think in story mode stages someone can kill Meta Liling, and she's gonna be keep getting stronger. So I might say Meta Liling is at useful tier. Alright, then the next one I'll include is also the Shimmer. So at R0, right, actually every single Shimmer here is gonna be good. But let's see, Cecilia here I would say is don't bother. Everett R0, don't bother. Nusi will be your top pick. Taver will be your top pick. Champagne will be your top pick. Yeah, basically there's a lot of Esper that can be your top pick. Moriyama I would say is useful. Petros, niche. Anna, meta defining. Tolan at your early game to mid game, I would say it's meta defining because I have to include PvP as well, right? So meta defining. Unas here I would say is niche. Raven here I would say is meta defining. Passive, but topic. Then Jiang Chiu Li, niche, Iki and Wu Yu top pick because they can help you clear your tower content. Especially you put Iki with Mavis, it's a very strong combo for most of the cases. Okay, so keep note, this is a R0 to R0 from early game to mid game content. So if you're an end game player, this tier list won't be applied to you because you have the Esper as specific resonance, right? Then including, if you have to include, let me include the epic Esper that is useful. I'll include this few Esper that is really strong. Let me make it smaller. Yeah, so this will be the final tier list for early game to mid game, new player and returner player. This is the tier list you should be should be able to guide you for your R0, okay? So it doesn't apply for the other high reso Esper, and this is the epics that I think it will be useful for you at early game to mid game. Even until end game, they have their own value as well. Really depends. So I'll cover over. Jiangman is a very good AoE DPS Esper. It's a very free to play Esper as well. Dahlia is your early game buffer Esper if you don't have the other buffer Esper here, and also AP pusher as well. Mona is one of your best pair with Jiangman in a team, especially if you are trying to clear EXP mon stages. Mona is one of your best pick. Then Alice here is your AP pusher, assist, and a buffer. Stewart here is your best one of your best early to mid game DPS for APAP. Then this girl here is good for Fafnir. Priska here is very good for your tower content and story stages content for AoE, AoE control, AoE stun, and also CD up. Ira is also very good early to mid game until end game as well. AP down and also Dispeller as well. Parmi is a very good speed leader that can help and cannot resist sleep or stun. Sachiko is a free-to-play buffer until endgame as well. It's a very strong Esper. If you have her R6, it's even better. She can help you CD reduce your team. Meredith is a special Esper that can only get through the world chat. She have a speed leader. She can be a healer, dispeller, and also a buffer as well. A very good AP pusher and a sub DPS. Very good speed leader with a AoE control. The twins here is a very strong buffer and DPS, but they have to pair together in one team to make them strong. Kara is a very consistent AP, poison unit, especially if you use Kara in a poison team. Let's say you poison with Hilda in a poison team. It makes the poison efficiency a lot more better, and also a very good unit for you to use in Andras at early to mid game. Xiaoyin is a very good Esper for you to use in Chronos as a DPS. Hengyue is an early game healer if you really want to find a healer and you don't have any of the healer here. Then Sander is a very good DPS for APAP as well, also a speed leader for most Ritual Miracle. It's a very good early game Ritual Miracle Esper. Then Yushu is a special case here. I put Yushu here because she have a very good value at end game, but I would recommend you to slowly gather her copy when you are early to mid game, because once she reach R6, she can cover most of your content as well. Okay, so this is my own tier list that is for R0 to R0 early game to mid game Esper. So if you are a returner player or a new player, if you find this useful, please let me know. Or if there's any guide you want to know as a newbie or a new player, newbie or returner player, you can feel free to comment down and let me know as well. I'll try to figure a way out to help you guys, since I noticed amount of player coming back to DISLYTE. No idea why. Maybe they start noticing DISLYTE is good again. Then you can let me know. I'll try to help out. So I'll try to update both newbie and returner guide, and also the guide that is always making as well for the end game player. Okay, hope you guys enjoy the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is Jen MP, Molkert Regally, the Bluish Lane, Kemi, thank you so much for your support. And for the supporter and patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Code Wilderness, Wang Tamer, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwalks, Rimu, Choni, Von Hexa, Antonio Winterspoon, Marlene Williams, Uncle Chat, Eric Mendes, Ian Cragren, Riku Fred X Iris, Calamity, Jordan Alons, Rocco Stanzinons. Thank you so much for the support. And that's not all. Also special thanks for the direct support on the live stream super chat for the latest stand. Special thanks to Ziggy, Calamity, Agni, Pong Pong, Code Wilderness, Riku Fred, and Choni. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.